Welcome back to Today, and we did say we had something a little more pleasant and light-hearted. At the height of their fame back in the 60s, it was called Monkey Mania, the hottest thing since Beatlemania, they told us. They had hit records, their own TV series, and now, 20 years later, the Monkeys are riding the crest of a 60s revival around the world. Two of the original Monkeys have just arrived in Sydney, Peter Tork and Davy Jones. Good morning, men.
Good morning. Are we on television? Is this it?
You are indeed on television.
Hi, George.
Hold on to it there.
In the morning.
Hold on to it there, Dave. I have an admission to make. I'm old enough to remember the original Monkeys, so that puts me...
Me too.
Puts me in your class.
I was only 6 when I did it, so...
There was the one question that we always ask ourselves, and a lot of people have asked you, obviously, in the time since then. Were you really a totally prefabricated rock group?
No, but I was a totally prefabricated human being.
That would have helped.
We were well publicised and promoted, I think, and that's the name of the game. I think there's a lot of acts coming in and out by the year, and they're not heard of again. So I think our promotion team did a pretty good job, and it was a pretty good piece of cloth they made out of it.
Indeed, they certainly did. Well, one quote that I read last night, looking at the stuff about you, said the Monkeys were never intended to be a real rock group. They were 4 actors playing the roles of pop musicians. Was it as simple as that? Or were you always musicians? And that's a misconception that's arisen since.
No, it's not nearly as simple as that. We were actually intended to be the New York Philharmonic Orchestra.
And where did you go wrong?
Well, it was about, we didn't know who to play first fiddle.
I think that's funny.
I do too.
The rest of Australia will, but...
No, I think it's quite amusing.
Well, I'll tell you, let me tell you about Peter. Peter started his career as a musician in Greenwich Village, New York, and before that probably in other places.
And ended it right there in the...
My background is the theatre, Broadway theatre. So we all had a musical background, and we just took the best of what we had, and we collaborated. And
we left it behind, and then we did what they told us.
We came up from nothing, and we brought it with us here to Australia.
Right, and 20 years later, it's all happening all over again.
Yes, and 20 years later, we are on tour playing the Twin Towns Services Club, and Twin Towns, St. George's Leagues Club in, I don't know, where's that, Carlton?
The venue in Melbourne.
The venue in Melbourne,
yeah.
And everybody with money should come.
Everybody with
money. Going to get in.
No freebies whatsoever.
Well, George, if you were to come there and say that you knew us...
Yes, we'd probably throw you out, George.
Tell us about the revival. Do you think it's one that's had to be created the way the original, as you've acknowledged, the original Monkey Mania occurred? Do you think that this is just a natural thing that occurs every now and then, a cyclical thing where groups become popular all over again? Let's get into the deep sociological significance of the Monkeys and the revival of them.
We were asked to get together last year in America to do what we call the Monkeys' 20th anniversary tour. It was horrendous. We got lots of promotion. There was loads of people that came to our shows. We did many sold-out concerts. We had 7 albums in the charts in the States. They revived the old songs, the old albums, and it was good all around. There were people coming to our concerts that had never been to a concert in 15 years. Right. And they came with their kids. The mums and dads came with their teenagers, and I think...
But there was no particular publicity here. When we were here last year, there was no particular special publicity except, you know, our names on billboards.
That's interesting. Tell me about the people who come to your concerts now, say in this country. Were they all people in their 40s like yourselves? I hate to say that, but being in my 40s myself, I can. Were the youngsters there as well as the people who knew you in the past?
Well, I think in Melbourne, for instance, at the venue, there were a lot of youngsters come there. It's quite a... they have different kinds of acts that play at the venue.
It seemed to change very much depending on the actual kind of a venue it was. At the venue in Melbourne, which is a dance club, it was a lot of rock and rollers jumping up and down on their beer cans.
The St. George League Club, a different audience altogether.
We had grandparents tapping their canes in time to the music and, you know, on their grandchildren. And in the States, as the tour progressed, we found that it became a younger and younger audience. I don't know why, maybe because we were feeling younger and younger as the tour went on.
So your music has beaten the sands of time, as it were.
The sands of time,
The sands have beaten the sands.
Maybe
is that in the 3rd race at the Sydney?
It could be. It's nice talking to you, Davy and Peter.
Nice to talk to you, too.
Have a good trip.
If you don't catch us at the St. George Leagues Club, maybe you can catch us at the Salinas in is it Coogee?
We're not here to plug a show, right?
No, not at all.
We just want to be with you, George.
Thank you very much.
Here on the air on 9 National.
It's lovely to talk to you, and we 40-year-olds have got to stick together.
Okay.
Yeah,
have a good trip.
You 40-year-old. What do you mean we, white man?
Have a good trip.
Thank you.
The Monkees, and I'm glad to say I've just slipped out of my 20s. I just remember. But when you look at the Monkees and then the earlier story Joan did with the Eurythmics, you realise how much music has changed in 20 years. Have a look at the Eurythmics and spot them.